Today is May 13th. It's 5 o'clock in the evening, and I'm calling to order our work session for Knox County Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lundy,
Here.
Commissioner Darrett,
Here.
Commissioner Oster,
Here.
Commissioner Ward,
Here.
Commissioner Schoonmaker,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Beeler,
Here.
Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Jay,
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Present.
All 11 members are present.
Thank you. Also up here to my left is Kim Ellis with the clerk's office. To my far right is Mark, what's your name again? Mike Moyers with the law director's office. Sorry. Are there any elected officials in the audience? I saw former Commissioner Randy Smith earlier. Do we have any others? Brad Andrews, thank you. Thank you for being here, former commissioner. Seeing no others, I'll continue with the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Jay.
If you are able, please stand and render the proper salute to our nation's flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners. Looking at amendments to the agenda, we are adding, already noted, item 38. Deferred to August is item 73. We have no withdrawals. Non-consent, items 1 through 7, 25 through 28, 35, 47 through 51, 54, and 56 through 62. Again, 1 through 7, 25 through 28, 35, 47 through 51, 54, 56 through 62 are all non-consent. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Items 75 and 76, I would like to roll that to June. I'm in discussions with the neighbors and the lawyer to have a community meeting. That's in zonings, items 75 and 76, but I will like to speak to it when we come around to that,
All right.
to a June meeting.
Defer to June, 75 and 76. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, motion to approve.
Motion to approve as amended.
Motion by Durrett, second by Daly. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item number 1, Resolution R-24-5-101 is honoring the recipients of the Regional Star of Life Award.
Motion to approve. Motion by Hill, second by Frazier. Any discussion? That will be presented next week. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 2, Resolution R-24-5-102 is honoring 4 students from the Gibbs High School HOSA program who placed in the top 3 of their respective state competition and qualified for the international competition in Houston, Texas.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move forward, no recommendations.
Motion by Beeler, second by Frazier to move forward with no recommendation. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item, number 3, is a joint proclamation presentation recognizing the 50th anniversary of National EMS Week.
Thank you, and that will be next week.
Motion to move forward with no recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Frazier, second by Jay, to move forward with no recommendation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4, EMS update and report of Fire and Technical Rescue Committee.
Thank you. And I have a note that that will be today. Is that correct? Do I have a motion to approve?
It's just a report. It's a presentation.
Oh, presentation. Forgive me. Thank you. Your name, please, and position.
Jenny Holden, Senior Director of Knox County Grants and Community Development. Thank you, Madam Chair. We appreciate having an opportunity to present tonight. I just wanted to give you the rundown of what we're going to be doing this evening. We're going to start with our Public Safety Director, Brent Seymour. He's going to do our quarterly Fire and Technical Rescue Report, followed by the Executive Director of Knox Emergency Communications District, Brad Anders. Brad is going to be giving us an update on merging EMS dispatch services into Knox 911 services. And then finally, we're going to have Josh Spencer, the Regional Director of AMR, with our very first quarterly EMS update. So I will turn it over to Brent to get us started.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commission. Brent Seymour, 505 Summer Place, Knoxville, 37902. You'll see the report. It looks just a little bit different this quarter than it did because it's actually a 4-month report, so we could line up with AMR and our 911 partners as well. So about 7,800 runs, which is pretty typical for that. We're just getting a little bit busier every time we report. About 62% of those are medical runs in nature, and the rest are fire and what we consider other hazmats, non-emergencies, things of that nature. Again, Halls and continues to be our busiest area of the county, closely followed by the Dry Gap, Bricky community out there. That area of the county is really increasing. We're seeing that increase significantly in call volume as we move forward with those. Our Carnes partners put a new rescue truck in service at the end of last month. It's a great piece of equipment to have out there to complement their service provision already. Handles a variety of technical and other specialty rescue type incidents. A beautiful truck. Tickled to death to have it out there in that community. And we look forward to using that and having it available as we need it. Our Knox County Rescue Service partners deployed to Sumner County to look for a child earlier in the quarter. They spent a couple of days out there. You can see the data there, over 500 acres in the woods there in Sumner County. And I believe that child was eventually found, but I think our partners had left already after they did the services that they were asked to do. Rural Metro, something we're really tickled to have. Rural Metro installed a baby box in their Halls Firehouse. At the time that box was installed, there were only 4 in the state, and 2 of those are located in Knox County. One at Station 17 in the Knoxville Fire Department, and obviously one in Halls. I think since then, Clinton Fire Department has added one as well. I believe I had heard, so that would make a total of 5 in the state. 142 of those boxes across the country in 11 states. So we're pretty blessed to have that resource for our folks in the county. I think to date through 2023, 42 infants had been surrendered through that system in the 11 states where those boxes are located. Our Seymour Fire Department went to Nashville for the Fire Department on the Hill Day in support of a resolution that was developed here in Knox County Commission that dealt with ISO and insurance ratings. And then our Fire and Technical Rescue Committee news. We elected officers at our last meeting. Chief Darren Long from Carnes is now the chair of the Fire and Technical Rescue Committee. John Linsenbigler will be the vice chair, and Director Anders will be the finance subcommittee chair as well. And I'd be remorse without saying we're excited for the possibility of 2 additional seats on that committee, an at-large commissioner and a representative from our EMS provider. We think that will greatly expand the knowledge and the effectiveness of that committee, and we look forward to hopefully working with those 2 folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions before we move forward? Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
Brad Anders, Knox County Emergency Communications District, or Knox 911, 605 Bernard Avenue. Tonight, we'll come to you, talk to you a little bit about the process that we're following to merge EMS dispatch services into our line of services that we have. It's a quite cumbersome pattern to follow. We have to train new employees that come either from AMR, dispatch and communications into our system. We also got to train some of our call handling people to administer emergency medical dispatch protocols if necessary. We have to spend, or we are in the process of, and we're in the process of doing all this, but the steps that we have to take are, we're going to spend a little close to $1 million in equipment for radio and phone apparatus for inside the call center. We got the old call center that we're currently working in, the main call center we're currently working in. The new call center that we had built for backup and tertiary purposes, we've had to modify that. So 5 new radios, 3 new phones, that runs almost $500,000 in that facility, and we'll have to do the same thing in the other facility. And so we're looking at almost $1 million in equipment. That procurement has already been conducted. We're waiting on delivery of the last 5 pieces. And the most difficult thing to do will be to train our employees, their employees, and maintain the same level of service that the community expects. And so we're going to have to potentially bring those folks in as part-time employees on their days off from EMS dispatch, train them, pay them, and train them as our part-time employees, and then merge that system. And to do this, this is a very, like I said, a very cumbersome process. We're adding about 20 or 22 employees to our payroll. The county will increase their payment to us over a 3-year period. But this should take, with great planning, this should take over 12 to 16 to 18 months. We're going to try to do that in less than 12 months from the time the contract was signed. That's our goal, is to have that done by the end of this calendar year, if not before. So y'all have any questions or comments, snide remarks? No?
Sounds exciting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, please come forward and identify yourselves, and welcome to your first report.
Good evening. This has been about 112 days in the making, and we're excited to be here. My name is Josh Spencer. I'm the Regional Director for AMR, 10,140 Gallows Point Drive, Knoxville. I want to quickly introduce some of my colleagues here with me as well. Here's going to drive my presentation today is our Administration Chief, Jeff Edwards. Bernie Hayes is our Deputy Chief of our Non-Emergency Division. April Kaywood, Deputy Chief of our 911 Division. And this is Battalion Chief Justin Blanton, who's actually on duty, so if he gets a call, he'll step right out. And then I think everyone here knows Jerry Harnish, and Jerry is kind of wearing 2 hats right now for us as the Fire and EMS Chief over Rural Metro and AMR. And we'll talk a little bit about that structure here in just a minute. But before I get, the first part of the presentation, we have about a 2-minute video. We talk a lot about Knoxville 2.0 and what does Knox 2.0 kind of look like. And so we thought it might be best to kind of hear some of that in some of our team members' own words. So Jeff, you want to play the video, then I'll come right back up after that.
Thank you, Josh.
population here in Knox County is growing by the day, and we are very excited to be a part of that future. We're implementing new tools, we have a new clinical-based contract, and we have an opportunity to be one of the best EMS systems in the nation for one of the best counties in the nation. With the world and technology advancing, we have implemented a couple new technological programs. One is our nurse navigation program.
Redoing the way that we respond, we are redoing the way that the calls get coded in. There's more options available to the community versus just an ambulance transport now. We have the option to come into their home and you can speak with a doctor, you can speak with a nurse over a phone. And that's going to save these people from having to go sit at a hospital in a waiting room or in a hallway bed for an extended amount of time if they don't necessarily meet the criteria to go to a hospital and don't need to. And you can have that doctor's appointment or emergency room visit in your living room.
We also have telehealth that we can use out on the road, where we come into your home and maybe you don't need an emergency department. We can get you a specialty appointment lined up. We can do a whole number of things through this telehealth system while saving you a trip to the emergency department.
With the advancements in technology and everything that we can offer here at AMR Knox County, our transport rates are decreasing because we're able to let someone handle that patient care that's not an EMS provider.
In about 5 to 7 with furthering.
The Earn While You Learn program is fantastic because it allows individuals to come in here and get a sense of what exactly working in EMS is. We pay for the schooling, we pay while they're in school, and when they graduate and pass all the appropriate tests and everything, they have a full-time job on an ambulance. They can build off that because of AMR's capabilities. They can progress into advanced EMT school, paramedic school, critical care paramedic school, and if one day they decide that they want to be a flight paramedic, they can do that because we have those avenues available.
We do help out with education with the other agencies in the county. Throughout the year, we do training with Rural Metro Fire Department and Knoxville City Fire Department.
Well, it's extremely important because we feel like that partnership really provides the basis for us to be guardians of the community, certainly with the first response aspect and then the triage and transport aspect.
It's just great to get to know those people because once you get to know those people, you all work really well together.
The whole process here and the point of the Knoxville 2.0 is the future's changing and we're changing with it, which is something that is going to be extraordinary once it's all put into place.
All right, now the easy part. I think just push a button from now on. So one of the challenges that we had, it was no secret, right, is staffing and workforce. And I backed all the way up to October just to really kind of show a good progression and timeline. Although the new contract started in February, it was awarded in November, so that really gave us the opportunity to really start ramping up staffing as quickly as possible. Now, our staffing, there's the process once they come into a new employee orientation program. It takes about 2 months to kind of get them through the entire process and all the onboarding and the training. So we have seen since October a 31% increase in our staff. So we went from 178 EMTs and paramedics up to nearly 240 through the end of April. We also did some operational structure changes in January, early in the year to really kind of get us back kind of reorganized and restructured. One of those came with truly just a reclassification of how we, of what we call our supervisors and lead staff. Historically, we've just called them supervisors or managers. Now, again, as part of the collaboration with fire and law enforcement, now that the classification that we have changed to deputy chief, battalion chief, lieutenant, to follow that same command structure. And we believe that'll help really draw the pieces together a little bit closer in the form of collaboration. We did a pretty substantial wage increase in March of this year. We are a union shop, so I had to go through some of the process there. But as part of the subsidy we spoke of often was to really get, to bring our wages up so we can really recruit and retain the best talent in the community. So here's kind of a breakdown of our total unit hours and our total transports. If you look at the blue and the gray line, you're seeing a really sharp increase. That's really because of the staffing, right? So the unit hour is one ambulance on the road in the system equals 1 unit hour every 60 minutes. So in the month of September, and again, looking back a few months to kind of get the timeline and the trend, about 9,300 unit hours what we were deploying. At the end of April, we deployed almost 12,000. So that's a pretty substantial increase in unit hours. What that does is when the blue and the gray line get further apart, that gives our crews adequate rest. They have adequate downtime, and we've staffed to a level where we feel like we need to be staffed to meet the contractual requirements while giving our employees the appropriate downtime. The 911 call volume has increased dramatically. That's no secret. All right, everyone knows that the population changes, the growth, the seasonal things. There's always more and more calls are coming into the system, but as I think one of the crew members mentioned in his report, our transport rates are actually decreasing, and that's due to some of the changes that we've made through the virtual care programs and nurse navigation and et cetera. So while we're running more calls or more responses, we're actually not transporting at the same ratio, right? So as those numbers continue to decline the other way, that really presents a very healthy EMS system. The thing I am probably the most proud of that we accomplished in this contract is a subcontract on the forensics transports. That was a very challenging part of our EMS system in the old agreement. We were able to work out a contract with a transport company here that now takes care of all the forensics transports for us. I actually ran into Chris Thomas last week and kind of asked him how things were going, and I think his exact words to me were, "You're almost getting there too fast now." So definitely an improvement. And where we see the benefit from that, those are ambulances that are now responding to other calls that are more acutely urgent, as well as our law enforcement partners, and those are not having to sit on the scene and wait on some of those ambulances to show up for the forensics transport. So that's been a huge help to date. Oop. We lost it. It's our first try. There we go. So as the transports decrease because of the other things we've got in place now and are kind of robust, we see our hospital offload times is obviously trending down as well. Huge progress is being made. The fight isn't over by any means, but we are seeing progress. When you look at a 60-minute average offload time down to 56, doesn't seem like a whole lot, but 4 minutes times 5,000 transports in a month is 20,000 minutes, right? That adds up quickly into the system. So we really hope that trend continues. We're working hard to make sure we're doing that through collaboration with some of our partners in the health systems. So nurse navigation, just by the numbers real quick, we've referred through April about 935 patients to our nurse navigator. Those are low acuity calls that meet the criteria based by the medical director. 40% of those are non-transport. So again, that's about 400 or so, give or take, transports that are out of the system now because they were low acuity and we were able to meet their needs through a different access to care. About 60% are still coming back to the ambulance, but what's important is 52% of those are BLS ambulance, which now through the new contract, we have a tiered system, which allows our BLS ambulances to handle some of those lower acuity patients, which keeps your high acuity patients reserved for the more advanced paramedic level. We do a callback and a survey on every single report, every single patient that gets referred to nurse navigation. And so our current satisfaction score so far this year is 4.8 out of 5. This is just a quick snippet, and I'll run through these quickly. This is just it's a very colorful wheel, obviously, but it's showing the type of calls that we're running. This is based on clinical impression once the caregivers arrive on scene. If you kind of look to the top left there, you see about 4% or 8% total if you combine two of the blue and the green are behavioral health type issues. So one thing that we're working aggressively with is some of our partners and health systems of how can we more appropriately get some of those patients the right level of care they need. It is a widely known problem, I think, in this community, but we're everyone working together trying to solve, the issue as well. Quickly, this is just kind of where our transports are going, about 35% to UT, 40% to Covenant facilities, and the rest is just kind of trickled in there. Obviously, the larger hospitals, that does drive our data some with the hospital offload delays because you're seeing, much more transports going to these. So these other hospitals and some of those times aren't moving so much, and maybe some of the bigger facilities, but some of the other facilities, we are seeing some increase in our offload delays, which is helping the trend go downward. And this is kind of where the rubber meets the road, right? We're talking about performance here. So as you recall, there's three different zones in this new contract, each of which have a priority 1, 2, and 3 response requirement. I think that the focus here is when we started in February, this had never been measured this way. The county had never looked at the contract and the response times in 3 different zones and 3 different priorities. So we had a pretty good finger on the pulse of what the data was going to look like, but we didn't really know because we'd never measured it quite this way. So what we saw in February, this is just the east zone, and we'll go through all 3 zones quickly. What we saw in February was we didn't nearly have our people deployed in the right spot. Now, mind you, we didn't have the aggressive uptick in our staffing started late February, early March. But so it took February and March to really kind of get the pieces of the puzzle in the right spot so we could meet the response times or at least start a trend upward. And I think what you'll see here is in all 3 of the slides, in all 3 of the zones of the next 3 slides, you will see a marked trendward upward. Not quite to 90% yet, but it is definitely far better than it was. So progress is certainly happening here now. Same story in the west zone. We started around 68% or so, which is not great. We certainly understand that, but again, we didn't really know what we didn't know. But now we're touching around 90% in April for the west zone. And one caveat too quickly, just based on the timing of the presentation for this month, we haven't had our meeting yet with the county to go over the response times. The April numbers are pretty raw, but they won't change much based on that number. So just the timing of our meeting, it doesn't happen to be until tomorrow. So we'll shore all those up, but it shouldn't fluctuate too much in April. And then the next one is an incorporated Knoxville zone. So again, low 60s up to mid 80s, or sorry, low 80s. So a nice trend upward. Again, not where we want it to be, but I figure we keep making 10 to 20 point improvements over a month. That's a pretty substantial move, and we will get there. It's just taking a little bit of time. And overall, if you kind of pull all the numbers together and just look at one big picture, again, the trend still goes upward to around 85% on average for overall performance. So I wanted to highlight some of the things that our folks do in the community. On the left side here, you have the Memphis Fire Department visit. So part of the healthcare task force that Steve Hamby runs, or the health department moderates for us, we had a visit a few months ago from our friends and mentors and colleagues out in Memphis Fire Department to kind of learn, hey, what are you guys doing? Like we're not siloed over here in East Tennessee. Let's see what's happening in West Tennessee and see if we can figure out something that works there, we can bring here. We had a great turnout. We had a couple of our leaders from AMR, KFD, Health Department, Public Safety Director, and then the Medical Director all went to visit Memphis to learn just kind of more about the programs they offer and how we can figure out, is that something we can bring to here and mirror in this area. On the right hand there, you see Lieutenant Klein and Lieutenant Smith both completed a CIT training that gives our supervisors much better awareness and training on how they determine and identify mental health and substance abuse issues, and really identifying resources that we can point patients to. So we have an endeavor to get all of our supervisors and office staff, admin staff in this training, and I think all but 2 or 3 have completed it at this point. So just a couple attaboys. Many of you may know Jim Meadows. So Jim's been with the company now for 30 years, and I tried to do the math and see how many actual patients how many lives he's impacted in 30 years, but that's a whole heck of a lot of time to be a paramedic and a supervisor in any system. But he's been in this community for 30 years serving the men and women here, and it's certainly something to be proud of. So as part of that, he got a certificate and an award. On the left side, the calls we don't talk about nearly as much are the good ones, and those are the ones where we get to deliver babies. It happens more than people would think, I think, in the back of an ambulance. But Paramedic Smith and EMT Colbert both received a little stork pin to wear so they can proudly say they delivered a baby in the field. And these are just some more of our team members, we do a service pin every year, but every 3 and 5 year mark, they get a special pin. And so here's a few that have made the 3 and 5 year mark. There's a lot more than just those 4, but try to get it all in one slide and try to keep this thing moving forward quickly for you guys. I think tomorrow night, this is part of the recognition for the Star of Life Award. Some of our crew members here responded to a really terrible accident in the city of Knoxville, and both had positive outcomes for very small children and pediatric patients. So Children's Emergency Care Alliance of Tennessee awarded some of our team members, along with Knoxville Fire Department, I think Knoxville PD as well, with the Star of Life Award, a great achievement for all the hard work those men and women do. And you'll see our honorees on the right-hand side. I couldn't fit everybody's names in there, nor do I know some of them, but regardless, great work by that group. So on January 31st, we had a kind of an all hands on deck stakeholder meeting. It just so happened to be the day before the contract went live. It just the day we could all get together. And I think this picture really tells the whole story of what we're trying to accomplish. I remember in the process of the RFP, we were one of the questions was asked, "What makes you think you can do it?" And that's a tough one to answer, right? But the answer is, I don't think any one can do it. All of us can do it, not just any one. And so we really focused very, very hard and continue to focus very hard on collaboration and involvement, because again, this is a system-wide approach we all have to solve together. In that picture, you see leaders from GMR, you see KFD, KPD, a couple of health systems, the health department, everyone's at the table, and we sat in that room for 7 hours and understood their challenges. You understand our challenges, and how do we solve it? And we left there with some great takeaways. We now have our next meeting coming up in July, I believe. So we've formed subcommittees, and this group is really doing a great job of getting together to make sure that we're all focused on the same mission, and that is to provide the best care we can to the all community of Knox County. I think it's hard to know where you're going if you don't know what your mission is. And so we did come up with a mission statement that's on your screen there for AMR, and what does Knox 2.0 look like? And it is to serve the Knox community by fostering a culture of reliability through patient care, meaningful engagement, and innovative solutions. And I think we're continuing to work hard on making sure we meet our mission. So what's next? And this is the last slide, I promise. I tried to talk quickly. As Director Anders mentioned, the 911 dispatch transition, that is a work in progress. We will be continuing to focus on how we do that with the least amount of impact to our employees, his employees, but most importantly, those users of the 911 system. It is a very strategic and tactical approach to make sure all those things come together at the right timeline. We do have some new nurse navigation enhancements that we're deploying this month, where our fire department personnel will have access now to do what we call field referrals to nurse navigators. So if they arrive on scene, they can direct access to care to these patients now when they're at the presence of the patient, not just through the phone. So opening up another avenue to get proper access to care for some that may not need to go to emergency department, but still need the care. First Pass installation, I think the county signed their part of the contract, I think last month, and First Pass is the clinical base component of the contract, which will measure our clinical performance. I think that'll be done probably in the next week or two. We've met with Dr. Dabbs, our county medical director, last week, and we're getting the progress to get all the kind of the buttons turned on so we all know what we're looking at, but that should be turned on very soon. And then as part of the contract, we were required to have a customer hotline, and so that number I want to put on the screen, and we're trying our best to get that broadly shared so everyone knows what it is, but it's pretty easy to remember, 855-AMR Knox. And anyone who has questions, concerns, comments, compliments, complaints, we want them to kind of call that number. We have 30 minutes for a supervisor to respond and get more information so we can begin the investigation. We have had a few, unfortunately, complaints, but we've also had a few, positive remarks too. So again, I think the theme is continued progress, and we'll report here every 3 months on that. They might not be quite as long moving forward, and I'll probably spare the 3-minute videos, but I did want to share the kind of where we are today, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. I think we've all been anxious to hear this first report and to understand better how things are moving forward. So are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation.
Yep.
Would somebody send that to us
we will send
as
it.
a commission?
Yes, sir. It'll be sent out this evening.
Could you go back to the performance slide?
Sure.
I guess the regional.
That one? Or there's 3 zones and then the overall.
Yeah, the 3, that one's, any of these are fine. I just wanted to make sure I understood overall performance. Explain that.
So that is each category rolled up into like the overall average of response time, right? So for example, in a priority 3 response, you need 45 to 43 to 78. So what, and this is not how the contract is even measured. It's measured per zone, the right side of the screen. But I just tried to put it all on one side to show kind of an easier graph.
But this is outlining how often you arrive on time per the contract, per the zone,
correct,
per the call.
Correct. Yep. So if it's, for example, if you look at the gray column, April on the far right. So 78% of the time, we arrive to the priority 3 calls within the allotted time frame.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. And then, that's it. That's my question. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that report. Been really looking forward to it. But a lot of that I already knew because since we voted, I did what I said I was going to do, and I have maintained constant and regular communication with AMR, sometimes weekly, sometimes a couple of times a week, visiting the station. I have been to several of the emergency departments. I've been on ride-alongs, talked through different scenarios, helped problem solve. You know, one thing that we talked about very early on was how to monitor the progress and success and really talk about the reports that commission would want to see. And so now getting those daily reports, they can look at what happened yesterday and make it better for tomorrow and the next day. They've worked on where to stage the buses, given that information. They have welcomed me. You know, I told them from the beginning that, you know, I was going to be cautiously optimistic and very hopeful. And that I'm not one to just say, hey, you know, I don't think you can cut it. But I wanted to be a part of the solution and kind of walk alongside them. And I've really been trying to do that. And I'm glad to sit here and say today that I see progress and we are moving in the right direction. Yes, have we had those calls where, you know, nurse navigation or telehealth, there were some concerns? I've been able to reach out immediately and get a response, and they have reached out to the patients, to the patient families. I just want to say I see you. I see the effort that you are making. I see how seriously you took some of our no votes. You know, Josh and I have had that conversation. It was almost like a motherly, I'm really disappointed. And then they're working so hard to correct that. So we want you to be successful, because when you're successful, that means that our constituents and the people of Knox County are receiving the highest level of care possible. So thank you for all of the work that you're putting into this. I appreciate it, and I will continue to work in my capacity to help you in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Oster.
Thank you, Josh. It's good to see you up here.
My pleasure.
Really good report. We're definitely moving in the right direction. Two of the things that you and I discussed frequently during when you were here was about the forensics transfer. I'm so glad to see that it's not only better for AMR, it's better for Knox County. It's also better for the families that were having to sit there for a while and wait after somebody had passed. So I'm really glad to see that. The nurse navigation, that was something that you and I talked about because we so much use telehealth now. That is so important. So I'm really impressed with these numbers. I expect in 3 more months, I'm going to be impressed even more. But I appreciate you coming up here, bringing your team. I want to thank Mr. Anders for working with us too, and 911, and we're all behind you. I know it's going to be a tough go for a little while, but I just appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to come up here and share it with us.
Thank you.
Commissioner Durrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can we go back to the slide that shows the wait times?
Yep. Things like the third one, Jeff. You passed it. Go back to the other way.
Or the pie chart? That's okay.
One more. One more. There it is.
Thank you. So I noticed that we talked about the pie chart that a majority of the transports are either to UT or a Covenant facility. Do you see that because it's a higher volume of transport to those particular locations, that contributing to the wait time being longer? And I guess it's a two-part question. With this seeing a downward trajectory in the wait time, do you see that becoming a trend?
We certainly hope so. I think what's driving this trend is two things. One, like I mentioned, is we're taking fewer patients to the ER because we're getting them different access to care. So that's helping. The other is I have every reason to believe the hospital staffing is improving, on a similar trend that ours is. I don't know that for a fact, but we do see more staff in the hospitals than I think we've seen in the last several months. So that's a positive. And yeah, I think it will continue to go down. I mean, if it were 30 minutes, it would be ideal. But, we're still in this situation where we want to make sure we're providing the appropriate level of care to the patient. And sometimes that doesn't end when you walk in the ER doors. Not every patient can, appropriately sit in a wheelchair or go to a hallway bed. So it's trying to navigate them appropriately to the right level of care, but also once you arrive at the ER, ensuring there's a proper place to transition the care. Now this data is our data. Right now it's coming onto the CAD as well as the county's receiving it as well through First Watch. But one of the tools that we are able to turn on, and we're going to turn on, I think, next month, is the basically what we're measuring is we know when the ambulance arrives at the hospital and when the ambulance says we're available, we just dropped our patient off. That doesn't always mean that something didn't happen between that we're available and when they actually dropped the patient off. So one of the tools that First Watch, the third-party vendor that we use for our compliance monitoring, offers is a trigger essentially that allows the hospital to actually push the button for us. So now they can say, yep, we received the patient care, and now we know exactly when the ambulances are available. So that'll help, I think, as well. And everyone will have access to it. They'll be able to see it.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate this.
Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Ward.
I think last time we talked, UT was remodeling their ambulance acceptance area. Has that been completed?
It has not. It is still in progress. And I will say to the leadership at UT, honestly, they aggressively reached out to us and went to the Region 2 meetings when they started having some access parts of the ER being changed, which stopped some of our ambulances from having enough parking spaces. We have a weekly call with UT's leadership to discuss anything that may be going on that may be challenges, and they are remarkably responsive to our issues. Some are as simple as there's a different loading or there's a different parking space now for some of the ambulances. It's more of a gravel temporary parking lot. We noticed that one of our crew members found some debris in that parking lot that makes it unsafe for moving the stretcher. They addressed it immediately and took measures to make it more safe for us as we're moving our patients. But I don't know what the timeline is for UT's ER to be completed, but I know they are working on it. But we have seen, some changes in the access to the facility, but they've been extremely responsive to any concerns we've had.
Okay, and that's where the majority of your rides are going to, correct?
About 35% of our
Okay, so a third of it. So once that's completed.
We do expect it to be dramatically improved.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate what you had to say and look forward to seeing you again in 3 months. For public forum, we have one speaker signed up, Mitchell Bennett. Mr. Bennett, if you identify yourself and county of residence, please, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Mitchell Bennett. I live in Knox County. On May 3rd of this year, my wife and I were in Sevier County. I know this isn't Sevier County, but it has to do with it. We received a phone call at about 10 o'clock saying that our son was having a seizure. I called 911 in Sevier County and was transferred over to Knox County. I handed the phone to my wife so I could focus on driving to get home to my son in his time of need. At the same time, my wife was on the phone with Knox County, or she was transferred to Knox County. My mother-in-law had called 911 as well to request an ambulance. I'm gonna speed up. One never showed up. We were never called. No, hey, how you doing? What can we do? Nothing. We didn't receive anything. I ended up transporting my son to the hospital. After getting home, yes, from a date night to take care of my son, when our county is supposed to provide ambulance services. And then to find out that our ambulance was sent to another call. Okay, I understand that. I get triage. I used to be in the Marine Corps. I get triage. But then to find out that there were 3 ambulances that were available and not one dispatched, I have a problem with that. My son could have died. And to me, that is unacceptable. What happens the next time when I call 911 to get an ambulance? You know, I used to tell my Marines when they get in trouble for doing things, hey, it's on you. You did this. You control your destiny. I didn't do it to you. I didn't do that to my son. We deserve, as the citizens of this county, and y'all represent us, we deserve better. And I understand that they are here. The fact that my mother-in-law got a phone call before I got a phone call from AMR, that's unacceptable. I should have been the first phone call. My wife should have been the first phone call expressing, hey, we're sorry. The fact that my mother-in-law was told while she was on the phone requesting the ambulance, I can't hear you over that child screaming. My screaming son, screaming for help. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. I'm going to close with this. It happened to my son. Who's it going to happen to next?
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. We understand. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And I do believe that this situation has been addressed for those that you may not be familiar with it. Commissioner Daly?
Thank you. I'm sure it's been addressed, but thanks to Commissioner Jace forwarding the information and everything, that seems like it was a lack of miscommunication, that this child could have died from 911 to it was never relayed on to Seymour Volunteer Fire Department according to this, and I know they would have showed up for sure. It's just a lack of communication. My only comment is I hope that in the future, if an ambulance is ever diverted, that someone would call that, whoever called 911 and say, hey, you know, something's happened. We're going to do our best to get you somebody there. You need to call someone else. But it's touches my heart to see that, you know, I'm thinking of my grandkids right now. But to me, there's lack of communication here more than anything. That, and I'm sorry for you. I really am that happened. I hope your son's all right. That's just something that we can improve on, Mr. Spencer and Mr. Anders. I believe that we can fix that problem.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, next item, please.
Approval of minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion by Daly, second by Beeler. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is drives and roads. Consideration of acceptance of the new county roads. A and B are both located in Sonesta Subdivision, Phase 1, District 6. A is Hatmaker Lane. B is Utopia Lane. C, D, E, and F are all located in the Grange Unit 1, District 6. C is Yellow Aster Road. D is Valentine Meadow Road. E is Sugarcane Lane. F is Old Indies Road. G and H are located in the Glen at Hardin Valley, Phase 1, District 6. G is Brook Willow Boulevard. H is Bridge Valley Lane. I is Campbell Park Lane in Campbell Park Subdivision, District 6. J, Oasis Lane in Harbor Cove at Timberlake, Unit 6B, District 7. K is Broken Creek Lane in Twin Creek Subdivision, Unit 3, District 9. L is Gecko Drive in Braxton Creek, District 6, and M is Waterstone Boulevard and Waterstone at Hardin Valley, Unit 1, District 3.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jay, second by Durrett. No, second by.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Commissioner Schoonmaker? Commissioner Jay? Thank you. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 6, line item transfers, total amount of $475,155.55.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Jay, second by Schoonmaker. Any discussion? Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Just for the next one. Never mind.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item number 7, budget amendments, total credit amount of $576,728.50.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Jay, second by Schoonmaker. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item.
On page 5, item number 25, resolution 110. It's approving the reappointment of Nancy McBee to the Tennessee Technology Corridor Development Authority, TTCDA, Board of Commissioners, for a term to expire on April 30th, 2029. Members are nominated by the governor upon recommendations received from the county mayor and approved by the commission.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Beeler, second by Durrett. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 26 is Resolution 111. It's appointing an at-large commissioner to the Knox County Fire and Technical Rescue Committee, term to coincide with term of office as a member of the commission.
Thank you. Well, we have 2 commissioners here that are, meet the at-large category. Would you both like your name to be put in nomination? Yes, from Frazier? No, from
No,
Jeff?
Madam Chair, I'm going to attend, but you can nominate Commissioner Frazier.
All right, then. If you would reread that, please, with Commissioner Frazier's name.
This is appointing at-large Commissioner Kim Frazier, to the Knox County Fire and Technical Rescue Committee, term to coincide with the term of office as a member of the commission.
Motion by Daly, second by Schoonmaker to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 27 is Resolution 112. It's confirming the Knox County Mayor's appointment of Chris Parrott and reappointment of Rebecca Huckabee to the Visit Knoxville Board of Directors. Terms expire June 30th, 2027.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Jay, second by Frazier. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 28, Resolution 113. It's reappointing Gary Flinner, a citizen member with benefits administration experience for a large organization, and Joel Beavers, a citizen member with financial management experience for a large organization, to the Knox County Health Insurance Appeal Board, terms to expire May 31st, 2028.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Frazier, second by Oster. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 35 is Resolution 406. It's approving an agreement with CDM Smith Incorporated in the amount of $224,000 for the provision of engineering services to assist the county in producing an East Knox County mobility study, which is intended to support the planned growth area expansion as approved by Knox County Commission by recommending appropriate transportation improvements to support planned growth.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move forward, no recommendation.
Motion by Beeler, second by Schoonmaker. Did you have comments, Commissioner Beeler?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I pulled this just because I really became aware this was on the agenda on Thursday, and I wanted to give myself some time to talk with Mr. Snowden, and I have some questions. I don't even know what they all are yet, but I have some questions about not just the contract, but how the procedure is going to be. And I also wanted to afford my colleagues some time to ask questions about this as well. I see Mr. Snowden's down front, so I'll defer to the other commissioners, and I'll talk with Mr. Snowden later in the week.
Thank you. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Snowden?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Schoonmaker.
When I first saw that this was being pulled from the agenda, I was glad it was. I guess my question is, Knox County is going to spend about $250,000 to do a study.
Yes, sir.
Do we not have any kind of personnel or be able to hire personnel that could do this study for conceivably a lot less than $250,000?
A lot of this work some of this work that's codified in here is essentially a safety model development, which is essentially we're asking them to kind of create a mini travel demand model for us to look at. One of Commissioner Fraser's things that she's always interested in is cumulative development. You know, as development occurs, how does that get loaded into the street network? That's a pretty complex thing to do that, to be quite honest with you, my staff don't have the capability for, and we wouldn't necessarily need that capability on a day-to-day basis. So in this particular instance, their really technical expertise is something that we wouldn't need on a very routine basis. It would be more something that we're going to need at this point in time, and that they will set that model up, and then we'll be able to manage it moving forward. But it would be very difficult for us to hire that kind of staff and then ultimately use them in an effective way later on.
Okay, and then how quickly would they complete their study?
I think that we talked about, the thought was for us to get, and Jeff Mize, the project manager for CDM, is here too, so he can answer some of these questions if need be. But we would anticipate or like to see this study completed by the end of this calendar year, because one of the things that we'll see with this study, as well as another study that'll hopefully be on your agenda for the Shodo Peninsula in your district next month, is capital projects that will show and, informing transportation projects in not only the East Knoxville area, but the Shodo area as early as the next fiscal year. So it is our hope to complete both these studies within the next 6 to 8 months.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Snowden.
Thank you.
Commissioner Beeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one more quick comment. I just want to say I'm glad this is on the agenda, because I think we do need to get this ball rolling in the East Knox area, especially the area that's outlined here. I've been talking with Representative Brooks, former Representative Brooks, about the immediate need to get out in front of development that may be coming there. I just have some questions about how the community is going to be involved in the process of formulating that. So
sure, be glad to entertain any of those, Commissioner.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Seeing no other lights. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 47.
Item number 47, Resolution 801, is establishing a general county budget and making appropriations from the several funds for departments, institutions, offices, and agencies of Knox County, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move forward with no recommendation.
Motion by Schoonmaker, second by Durrett. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is Item 48, Resolution 802, establishing the Knox County tax rates for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Motion by Jay, second by Schoonmaker to move forward without recommendation. Any discussion? Seeing Commissioner Jay.
Sorry, I just left the light on for a second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 49 is Resolution 803. It's adopting the 5-year capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2025 through 2029 and appropriating funds for the first year of the plan.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Jay, second by Schoonmaker to move forward without recommendation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item number 50 is Resolution 804. It's appropriating the amount of $8,294,000 to nonprofit organizations of Knox County, Tennessee for the year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Schoonmaker, second by Jay to move forward without recommendation. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Did you note that? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 51 is Resolution 805. It's approving the organizational chart of the executive branch of Knox County government.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Motion by Jay, second by Frazier to move forward without recommendation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 54, Resolution 903, is approving a contract in the amount of $150,000 for fiscal year 2025, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, for the provision of drug and alcohol testing services for Knox County Criminal Court Clerk Services, including General Sessions Criminal Divisions, Division 1 through Division 5, and Criminal Courts, Division 1 through Division 3, Knox County Specialized Courts, including Knox County Mental Health Court, Recovery Court, and Veterans Treatment Courts, and Knox County Probation Services.
Thank you. Before I ask for a motion on this, I see that it's sponsored by Commissioner Schoonmaker. I'd very much like to sign on with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Are there any other commissioners that would be interested? Yes.
I do. I have just a question of why did it come through Commissioner Schoonmaker versus coming through one of our clerks? So I'd like to sign on to it, but I'm curious as to why it came through.
I can
our
answer
5th
that.
district.
I can answer that. The request came from, directly from
Mike Hammond.
Mike Hammond's office and specifically asked that Commissioner Schoonmaker be the sponsor.
So being the sponsor, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with no recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to move forward with no recommendation and a second. I do believe that everyone would like to sign on as a sponsor for that. All right. Is there any more discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next
Item number 56 is Resolution 905, amending various sections of the commission rules related to the elimination of the agenda work session and moving the zoning agenda meetings to the third Monday of the month, effective September 1st, 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move forward with no recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Frazier, second by Jay to move forward with a no recommendation. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was something that came up in the Rules Committee for discussion and consideration to kind of look at the efficiency of our time, staff's time, and really the public's time. And Commissioner Durrett brought forth a great kind of proposal. And so I'm going to ask her to share that with you all for additional discussion.
Commissioner Durrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Frazier. If you all will look before you, there is a draft calendar of April, and this is the exact draft calendar that I presented to our Rules Committee. So basically what I am saying is that we would eliminate the work session and then move our zoning meeting from 7 p.m. on the fourth Monday to 5 p.m. on the third Monday for several reasons. One, to allow the public to be here at a reasonable hour instead of having to wait, us having to recess our regular meeting if we do run long, which here lately seems to be the norm. And it allows our county staff who don't need to be here necessarily for our zoning meetings. It allows them to not have to, quote, I don't want to say waste their time, but find something to do for a few hours on those days that we do go over and have to recess our meetings to when they come back. They're also using comp time. And so this is basically to be more cognizant of other people's time when our meetings do go long. So what I'm proposing, and the draft of the rules changes is attached to this agenda item, is eliminating the work session, move zoning meetings to the third Monday to begin at 5 p.m., add a, quote, agenda review meeting to the third Monday at 3 p.m. as an optional time for all of us to get together and discuss any things we would like to discuss with staff, and that can be a standing optional monthly meeting. Beer Board will remain the third Monday at 4 p.m., The legislative meeting remains the fourth Monday at 5 p.m. And originally I had suggested that the schedule change begins September 1st. However, seeing that we will definitely have 5 new members of commission and potentially 7, though I hope it's 5. It might behoove us to begin this schedule earlier than September 1 to ensure there are no kinks. And we have worked out everything once September 1 comes around and we do have our new commissioners on board. So I would move to amend that it be, that September 1 be replaced with June 1. And I do see Director Brooks here with planning, and I wanted to, we have spoken, but I would like to, for her, if she would approach the podium so we can make sure that that June 1 would be sufficient for zoning coming up.
Yes. Amy Brooks, Knox County Planning. Yes, we have already advertised for any items that are going forward. What we would need to do is just to do an amendment to that ad, so we could send that out this week if you all wanted to make that change. So it shouldn't be an issue.
That would not be an issue.
From our perspective.
Would it
No.
be an issue if this was not voted on until next Monday, or would we need to go ahead and prove that this evening?
I don't think it would be, no. I think you could do either or. I think we could take care of it. It wouldn't be an issue since we've already advertised.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, aside from being cognizant of time, it also removes the redundancy that we do when you look at our work session and our legislative agendas, we read drives and roads twice. We almost always do line item transfers and budget amendments twice. We hear spread of record twice. And our ordinances actually go on 4 readings rather than 2 because we read them at work session and then at our legislative meeting for 2 months. And so it eliminates that redundancy. It holds commission accountable. It would keep us on topic. It would do our own research. And honestly, January proved that we don't necessarily need a work session because it was canceled due to that lovely snowpocalypse we had. And we still were able to do the county's business with 1 meeting. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
All right. Before I call on Commissioner Beeler, we have a friendly amendment on the floor. Are you amenable to the July?
June.
I mean, begin June 1?
June 1.
Sorry.
I did say June, didn't I? Did I? Okay.
All right. Resolution remains the same with the begin date then of June 1, 2024. All right. Discussion on this, Commissioner Beeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I absolutely support this. I think it makes too much sense not to do it. Couple of things I wanted to make sure we're clear on. Even with one commission meeting, once the agenda is compiled, there would still be a consent agenda that commissioners would have the opportunity to pull from. I would assume the Friday after the agenda is compiled or sometime before the voting meeting.
I can speak to that. So basically, everything else would remain the same. The preliminary agenda would come out that the Wednesday after agenda items are due, as they currently do now. And then the draft agenda, if you will, which would have been our work session agenda, it still comes out on the same time, the Thursday before the third Monday. So we will have, in fact, a week and 2 days to review the agenda, pull items that we would like to discuss at our meeting by a deadline of like that following Wednesday at noon. And so that gives time for us to review the agenda, speak with who we need to speak with. If we still have issues and want it to be pulled from consent, we can do it that way. And then the Thursday before our legislative meeting, the ones that had not been pulled will remain consent, and the ones that have been pulled will then be our non-consent agenda.
Okay.
So it does rely on commissioners to actually look ahead and read the agenda. And if you want to speak to something, you better pull it before, let's see, you'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days to review and pull whatever you would like to not be on the consent agenda.
Right. Sounds great. And I do support it, and I would support the change in June. The only thing that would change would be the zoning meeting, and you're talking June 17th as opposed to June 24th. So if Ms. Brooks says that's an easy change, then I would support this, because I agree with as much turnover as there's going to be on this body. I think if we're going to approve this, we should at least be the guinea pigs. So thank you.
All right. Is there any other discussion regarding this item?
I do.
Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess Commissioner Durrett could probably answer this question then. For the agenda review meeting, will that be held in this room or the upstairs? Where?
It would be in the commission conference room, 640.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Schoonmaker, it'd be similar to those meetings that you had held about a year and a half ago to review the agenda. It was publicly noticed, public can attend. So
Okay.
it wouldn't be any different.
Okay.
There
so-
would be no votes taken though.
Right. So okay, that's the other question then. So there would not be videoed or anything like that. So the only opportunity to interact with staff, if you didn't hold a individual meeting with staff, would be during commission day.
Or during this agenda review meeting.
But they're not going to attend.
Why wouldn't they?
The entire county staff is going to attend up.
Not the entire county staff, just if
If
it
an
would
item's
behoove
been-
the commissioner who would like to speak to a staff member you could do it there.
Okay.
You could invite them to the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Daly.
I guess I may be the only lone wolf on this, but I see a lot of issues getting information. We're going to have 5 new commissioners that are probably not going to attend the agenda meetings, that will have no clue about a $1.1 billion government spending that we've got. Not only that, having the public here at 3 o'clock to do public forum, we can see what can happen there. That could be 90 minutes or longer. And you're running into other situations. You get into your beer board and your zoning. So I can see a lot of things happening that's going to be a negative to this. I was elected to be here on the 3rd and 4th Monday and special meetings and everything like that. And I expect whoever to sit in this seat here to do the same thing. Not a optional meeting. It's not an option to serve the public. That's what you signed up for. That's what I signed up for. And it's not really going to be my decision. It shouldn't be my decision anyway. Now, come September, whatever that date is, the 3rd Monday in September, if the new commission wants to do that, that's fine. Let them do it. But right now, I'm not for this, and I may be the only vote no on this one. But right now is not the time to do this. And I would hope that the new commission would go at least 6 months to try to get their feet wet, to know what's going on, not only the departments. How many's out here today that is running for office? 0.
Yeah.
So that shows me they ain't coming to a meeting that's not required. They're not going to be there. They're not here tonight to learn what county commission does. They don't stay for zonings. They don't come for zonings because it takes too long for them to stay here to hear all the zonings. So I'm not for this. I'll be voting no. Now, if Commissioner Durrett wants to bring it back, and if it passes, fine. I'll be voting no. If it doesn't, she wants to bring it back in September. That's fine too. But I would hope that those new commissioners would take it to heart, that they would spend some time learning what this job's all about before we would do something like that. So that's my 2 cents.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To kind of echo Commissioner Daley's comments, he reminded me of something else, but he's correct. I mean, we've got people that want to serve on September 1st, and they're not even here to see how this body operates, which is pretty sad in my opinion. But the second thing is, Commissioner Durrett, if on this agenda review meeting, there would be no public forum, is that correct? Okay, so it's just if 2 commissioners want to show up and the staff wants to be there, that's fine. But so if the public wants to address us, they have to come 1 day a month instead of 2.
I have a question. Is your intention on this agenda review meeting that it be run by the chair, or what? Have you thought about formatting on that?
Madam Chair, I have not thought about the specifics of the format. I really thought it could be more of just an informal information gathering meeting for those commissioners who had questions to ask staff, rather than it be super formal and having the potential of votes happening and that sort of thing. So I didn't want to eliminate the chance for commissioners to have access to staff completely. And so that's why this is kind of like the compromise. Since we would be getting rid of one of our 2 meetings per month that are standing, this would still allow for that discourse to happen with staff and amongst other commissioners.
Okay. And I might just suggest that it might be wise to have whoever is the sitting chair to perhaps at least kind of lead it even informally as far as going down the agenda, just to try to keep some order to it. That's just a suggestion. Do you think that's, I'm asking, do you think space would be an issue up there if we have, if in fact most of the commissioners and county administrators show up?
I included the conference room just so it would be easy. We don't have to worry about rooms being occupied.
I got
But
you.
since it would still take place at our, when beer board, an hour before beer board, I'm pretty certain that PBA reserves extra time for a cushion. So I don't think having it in here would be an issue.
All right, all right. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add that moving zoning up to 5 p.m. is something that I know constituents have asked for years. I mean, I asked for that as a citizen attending meetings just because I think we would have better attendance from constituents and the public who wanted to speak to a zoning item. And then also just wanted to mention that I did have the opportunity to speak to staff. And they were very much in support of this simply because they are using so much of their comp time and personal time to attend meetings. And also wanted to bring up too that during the Rules Committee, we also had other members like Commissioner Jay who had also suggested looking at separating zoning and the regular meetings. So this was something that we felt was worthy of bringing forth to the full commission for discussion and consideration. So we tried very hard to ask all of the questions and to think things through. So I think the discussion has been really good. Thank you.
Commissioner Ward.
I got a text message that there are some candidates watching from home since this is broadcasted, and they wanted me to go on record as saying that they are paying attention. But on that same note, I don't see why the discussion session couldn't be broadcasted as well. So if people want to sit at home and see how we're discussing everything, that can be accessed from anybody anywhere. I think that's probably a net positive that there's as much transparency as possible with us and the general populace. And then, so I think you already hit on it. I think having it in this room, broadcasting it from this room would probably be an easier, simpler thing. This way we could just roll for, there's a great discussion going on and we're rolling right into beer board. We don't have to run from upstairs to downstairs. The staff doesn't have to go from upstairs to downstairs. Everybody's right here. We can just kind of mosey right on in is my 2 cents. So, but I like the general layout of it. I think optional is fine. I think not optional is fine as well. But I like the general idea of it.
Thank you. Let's see. Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm willing to try anything and see if it works a little bit better. And I promise you, Commissioner Daly and other commissioners, it is my privilege to help organize the orientation for new commissioners, and we will get them as prepared as possible, whether they're watching at home or not. So I'm willing to give it a shot, see how it works, and we'll know pretty quick in the first couple of months whether this is efficient or we're back to square one. So,
okay. Commissioner Oster.
I like this idea. I definitely, as Commissioner Frazier said, for my people, I've got some older people who don't want to drive in the dark, and that ends up happening when you start at 7, especially when the time changes. And I don't think that you're probably against having it in here, having the agenda review in here, and that could just be worked out with Drew, of course, and the staff. So I like that. I think it still gives everybody ample time to get their information in, and we're all working with our constituents anyway, so I can't imagine that that's going to change a whole lot. So,
Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Moores, I didn't have a chance, or just thought about it. Is there anything in our charter that says we meet the third and fourth Monday or anything like that?
No.
Just making
It's
sure.
just commission rules.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Commissioner Durrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to reiterate that this is not a move to make it easier on us or to not be here to represent our constituents. That is no intention whatsoever. This is more of a time matter and being cognizant of our citizens and of our staff's time and really everyone else in the room except the 11 people that are sitting up here. This job demands a lot, and in no way is this meant to kind of supersede that and take that away from what we are here to do. This is just trying to make it more attainable for more people to attend, but at the same time, that's why there's that review ahead of time. And so that's really what this is about.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding this? All right, we have a proper motion and second on the floor with no recommendation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item number 57 is Resolution 906. It's amending the commission rules in Rule 2, Section E, and Rule 5, Section K, and Section N to provide for the Beer Board to be composed of 7 commissioners who are appointed annually following the reorganization of the commission, and to provide for all votes on Beer Board applications and penalties to be by roll call effective September 1st, 2024.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to move forward with no recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Frazier, second by Oster to move forward without recommendation. And Commissioner Lee, you requested this pulled.
Yes, I had some confusion to why this is needed and what's the purpose behind it.
All right, I'll call on Commissioner Frazier as Chair of the Rules Committee.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Commissioner Lee, this was a discussion for consideration in Rules Committee where we were discussing having respect for those peers who may have a belief system that would not allow them to vote or to make motions during a beer board. And so to be respectful of that, we were talking through options on how we could address that. And the best option that we came up with was to structure the beer board as many of our other committees and appoint our peers during the reorganization. Also, we heard from our clerk's office that it's very difficult during those meetings to identify who is actually voting and who isn't voting, and if those who had recused themselves, if they had voted or not. And so they weren't actually recusing themselves of some of the votes, but were voting. And so we just wanted to kind of clear that up so that we were as transparent as possible with the public. And so that's really where it came from. Commissioner Oster did a great job providing a proposal, and I would turn any additional questions over to Commissioner Oster if she had any additional comments or would like to speak to this item.
Commissioner Oster?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's pretty much what Commissioner Frazier said. So this would be a reorg. It would be 7 commissioners. It would start September, so it would be the new commission. You have 7 commissioners. They would elect a chair and a vice chair, just like you do on other boards and committees. And then it would be by roll call vote. So this is just that every commissioner that wants to be on the new beer board actually votes for either the applications or votes for the revocations. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee, would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any problem with the 7 commissioners on the board. What I do have a problem with is the penalties of each district not being represented. That's where I would have the problem. If, I will say, speak for myself, I do not vote to approve the beer permits, but I do feel like I want to represent my district on any penalties that would be assessed in my district.
All right. Commissioner Ward, you had your light on earlier.
Yes, ma'am. I think I was going to say almost the same thing that Commissioner Lee said. Maybe there needs to be at least one at-large commissioner on there so that there is a representative of every single county is a way to, or every single county, every single district. But that was my concern as well, that there wouldn't be a representative if you got fined or if you wanted to get a beer permit to go to that serves on the beer board. So if at least there's at least one at-large commissioner, there is somebody that represents you on the beer board, would be somewhat of a workaround. But I had a similar concern.
Thank you. Commissioner Beeler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually agree with that. That probably does make sense that if it is going to be 7 of the 11, that it should have a minimum of one at-large commissioner just so that every district be represented. All respect in the world to my colleague, Commissioner Lee. She'll be here. I won't after September 1st. But I will say for me, I obviously I desire to represent my constituents. I never would want to deny someone their rights under the law to obtain a beer permit. However, because of my position of employment and ministry, I am constrained by a certain covenant to not participate in those votes. So it would be very helpful to me if I did not have to sit on the beer board. And with regard to penalties, I have never known this body to fail to administer a penalty when a penalty was due. So that would, for me, not be a concern. So just my thoughts.
All right. Commissioner Daly?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Commissioner Lee that every district ought to be represented. Even though I don't speak out, I'm registered as a yes vote. If you'll look at the records, we're registered as a yes vote. We're not registered as a no vote. So, matter of fact, tonight, how many times have you not said yes or no tonight? When we said call for the roll call or call for the vote. I think, let's take District 7 was not representative and we had El Tequila that was going on out there. And she wouldn't be here to be representing her constituents. So I don't think this is good. I think I'll take it from Commissioner Jay. Why are we trying to fix something that's not really broken? And I don't think this is broken yet. If I'll go down as a yes vote, I'm like, even though I don't believe alcohol is a gateway drug to other things, destructions of the families and everything else, but I go down as a yes vote. So you pull up the record, I'm a yes vote. And there's nothing wrong with me asking Commissioner Jay or Frazier if they would make the motions. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't see that we're trying to fix a problem that is not a problem. I don't want to see another El Tequila with some commissioner's district. It's not representative. It's a majority rule. It'd be a majority vote on that, right, Director or Mr. Law Director?
That's correct.
If 3 people are not here, it's only 4 people. That's a quorum. Do what?
Well, let me say this. I haven't looked at the beer board's rules on it. I don't know if it's a majority of the board as it's, a majority of the membership or the majority of those present and voting. So I'd have to look at that.
That's what we got to look at. And if it's a majority present, that could make it a lot easier. But if it's a majority of the board, that means 4 people got to be here and they've got to have a quorum at 4. So I like, I do like new things sometimes. I'm an old dinosaur, but this one, and Commissioner Durrance may have a great idea coming up. I don't know that. Looks like we'll try it and see. But this one here, I don't think we have an issue here of anything that's really going wrong. And I would just hate to see somebody's district not represented when we got another El Tequila that comes up. It just wouldn't be right. So, thank you.
Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be interested in that question, Mr. Moyers. Now, you may be told next week that you know that.
I'm looking right now.
If there was an amendment, I agree with Commissioner Ward's potential amendment. Would that need to be attached this week, or could it go forward and be part of a amended something next week?
I'm sorry. I was trying to look for Commissioner Daly's answer. What was
Commissioner
the question?
Ward's idea of adding a requirement that at least one at-large member be present to this rule change, would that need to be added this week and moved forward, or could it be amended
You could
next
amend.
week?
You could amend the resolution next Monday to add that requirement if you would.
So hold that in the hopper, Commissioner Ward, because I do think that's a good solution, and our rules do state that every commissioner can participate in any committee in any way, shape, and form they wish. They can come in, just because you're not on the board or on the committee doesn't mean you can't show up and participate and be called on by the chair of that board. So I do think that if there was a circumstance where there was another, if you weren't on the beer board and there was a big deal in your commission district, you may not have an actual vote, but boy, God, you could come and make your voice heard. And I imagine that your colleagues would listen to you and take that into careful consideration, because the beer board, I don't care if it's 7 members or 11, doesn't take kindly to people that don't follow our beer laws. So I think there's a good compromise there if we were to move forward with it. So,
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
just to answer the question, any board of this commission that doesn't require further commission action, which would include the beer board, requires a majority of the membership. So regardless of how many people you have there, so if you have a 7-person beer board, you'd have to have four votes, regardless of how many people were there or not, like the BZA used to do things. They've changed that now, but that's how that works.
4 would be a majority on the beer board of 7. Commissioner Oster?
I'm happy to, if somebody wants to, I can make the motion, or somebody else can make a friendly amendment if they want to on the at-large. I don't mind to do that. I will respectfully disagree, Mr. Daly, has been, I guess, that I'm getting some of the messages from constituents and applicants who have felt like there's been some times that they haven't been represented in districts where a commissioner hasn't voted to approve a beer license. I just feel like this is our job, as we sit up here as one complete beer board and we participate. And that's why I feel like, just like Commissioner Beeler said, I felt like that if it is a personal situation with any commissioner, then they're kind of not forced to be on the beer board. They can take themselves out of that, which I feel like is fair to the applicant that's paying their taxes and that's trying to run a legal business. But people have personal opinions, and I understand that. But I think that we need to come across as fair as we can. If we're going to give the applicant, the beer board, the license, we need to do one or other, or not do anything at all. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm happy. Can I make the motion to add the? I'll do it next week. Yeah, we'll do that
I would
next week.
appreciate that. Commissioner Ward?
I have a silly question, and this is for my own amusement, but Director Moyers, I've always been told that we are referred to as the Honorable Commissioner or whoever because of the beer board. So because that we pass fines and such things, there's a judgment coming down.
No, you're.
I told you it was a silly question.
You're honorable because you're elected by the people
Okay.
that you serve.
As I say, you're still going to be honorable anymore after that. So it was a silly question, but I wanted to amuse myself. Thank you.
Thank you. I am not on the Rules Committee, but I do try to attend and participate. As Commissioner Jay said, you're always free to attend and participate in any committee, whether you're appointed to it or not. So that that does not in itself preclude anyone. But I will tell you what I had heard in the discussions of the Rules Committee is that, and Commissioner Oster alluded to it, was the fact that a commissioner needs to be willing to vote to give one as well as take one away and not be exclusive to one or the other in order to truly fairly represent their district. So that was what I'd heard. And of course, we know that we have a couple of commissioners that routinely excuse themselves, and that's absolutely no problem. I know with no one on this board that they choose to do that, but that really, I think, was what it had boiled down to. Commissioner Lee?
Well, I'm on the Rules Committee, and I don't agree with this because I think that representing my district, if I don't want to vote for the beer permit, it's going to be voted on by the majority, that is violation of my First Amendment, religious freedom, that my district should be able to be supported by me or the district commissioner in regards to penalties. So I do feel like that is a First Amendment violation.
All right. Is there any other discussion on this? All right, what we currently have on the floor then, by Frazier, seconded by Oster, is motion to move forward without recommendation. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, I believe I heard one nay. All right.
10-1.
Motion carries. Commissioners, I'm asking, would you like to take a brief break, or do you want to push through here? Break? Oh, whoops, I'm getting mixed messages here. Well, we will take a 10-minute break. Let's return at 6:55. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm convening, thank you. And I believe we're on item 58.
This is ordinance O-24-5-101, amending the Knox County Code, Chapter 4, Article 1, Beer, to provide for the sale of beer in Knox County to be regulated by the county commission or a board or committee appointed by the county commission. This amends ordinance O-09-3-107, adopted April 27, 2009 on first reading.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to move forward, no recommendation.
Motion by Oster, second by Durrett, to move forward without recommendation. Is there any discussion?
Just one question, ma'am.
Commissioner, these lights, I apologize, they jump all over the place. Commissioner Ward.
I think you beat me, but yeah.
Doesn't matter, go ahead.
So is this in some sense related to what we just previously discussed?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just comporting our ordinance language really to the state law and creating the power to have a board or commission. Is that right? That's right. So it's just adding the language that allows the commission to appoint a board or committee to regulate beer rather than the membership of the entire commission. It doesn't require it, it just allows it.
Yeah, that's where I'm struggling with a little bit is I kind of see the path that's being paved, and I get that. If we're going to go down this path, and this is the direction everybody wants to go, the last one, 57, I would like it to be more like the library where you, as a commissioner, appoint your own person, and there's 9 people. If this is that this is the direction we're trying to head in long term. If we're not, this is just mirroring the state verbiage, then fine, never mind. But if we're trying to eventually get to a point where we create a subcommittee underneath this, that's not representatives. That's not okay. That's what I was saying. Like you go first because I'm trying to figure this out. Like, all right, are we trying to sneak something through here? Or is this just verbiage stuff?
I think I can probably.
It's not.
Okay. Put me at ease. How about that?
Yeah, it's just stating, like I said, that instead of the beer board being constituted by the entire member of the commission, it allows you to appoint the board. This is hand in hand with the rule change that we just looked at. And my understanding is.
But it doesn't open up an avenue to appoint a citizen representative board.
These are all commissions.
It would, let me say
this is a long technical answer.
It would allow you to do that.
Okay, so that's the technical answer.
It's certainly not requiring.
That's not the intent that everybody's going for.
It isn't.
Okay.
And like I said, we're doing this because as the ordinance is currently constituted, you could not have this rule change consistent with the ordinance.
So that was my question is, so yes, it does allow that. No, that's not the intention of this though, but that is allowable under this.
Sure, and under the state law too. And that's the way state law reads.
Okay, so I'm fine with what we're going for. I'm just stating for public record that I do not want to be appointing citizen representatives of a seat, especially if you're going to shrink it down to 7. If that's the direction people want to go in, I'm not going to be here in a couple months, so I would just recommend at least 9 if that's ever comes up further down the road when I'm gone, so that everybody has a representation for their district. But I understand, so just putting that out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward, and you may, between now and next week, want to work on a friendly amendment to that, just a suggestion, but for next week.
I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the words that you may be looking to add are composed of, appointed by and composed of county commissioners. Somehow, I think if you were to talk to the law department, I imagine they could work that language in, because I do think the intent is that it is 7 members composed of the commission body.
Yes, I was worried that we were trying to slip something in here and didn't want to see that. So, but yes, I think composed of is a good words. Thank you.
Well, then you may want to work on the amendment. Anyway, Commissioner Lee.
Whoever.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Law Director, so this 58 is enabling their 57 to pass? Is that what it is? So they go hand in hand?
Yes.
Okay. And so I would ask Commissioner Oster if she has emails to share them with the commission.
I've gotten phone calls.
How many phone calls have you got?
I've gotten 6.
Okay.
And the last rules meeting, Commissioner Lee, you weren't there.
Yes,
and
I was.
we discussed this.
Yes, I was there. And I actually remember you saying if you don't want to do your job, you shouldn't be on the board.
This was the meeting before that. This last meeting, you weren't in attendance that we discussed this. So I think the issue there is you are on the Rules Committee. You weren't at the last meeting. We discussed this, and this is kind of where we are. I'm also the chair of the beer board, so people are going to reach out to me in a situation where they don't feel like that they're being treated fairly, some as your constituents.
And they haven't called me?
No, they called the chair of the beer board. So this is obviously up for discussion. This was really, honestly, this was to take people out of voting on something that they don't personally believe that they can do for whatever reason that is. And it just makes it more fair. All it has to do is with the constituent and the applicant who's paying money to open a business who needs a beer license. If the commissioner wants to approve that, great. And then they can give the punishment. But if they don't want to say anything about the beer license being approved, then I don't believe, and this commission can decide this next week, that that's fair for that commissioner to then oppose penalties because you haven't been a part of the whole process. So.
You mean approved penalties?
Right. So, and to answer your question, Commissioner Ward, no, we're not trying to do anything screwy. Pretty much try to rise above that. So, I mean, everybody can vote how they want to. This is going to be on a roll call vote. If somebody wants to bring an amendment that we keep it the same and everybody has to do a roll call vote, can bring an amendment to do that.
It is the first reading.
And it is the first reading.
Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So hypothetically, if next Monday 57 agenda item fails, does this still move forward?
That's up to you, because all the ordinance does is allow for the creation of a board that is something less than the full membership of the county commission. This proposal could fail, and you still might want to reserve to yourself the ability to do that down the road. Or you could just vote the whole thing down. They stand together in the sense that this rules change can't happen without the ordinance change. But the ordinance change could happen without the rules change. That makes sense.
Commissioner Ward.
Commissioner Oster, are you good with putting some kind of language in there composed of then? Are you fine with putting some type of language in there before next week that says composed of, to make it more commissioner focused?
I'm happy to do that. And we can add the at-large. I've already spoke to Jill, so we can take care of that before next week.
Then you have my support. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Right, the other one. Thank you.
Okay. Back to 58. Is there any other more discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to move forward with no recommendation. And we can do the roll call next week, isn't that correct? Yeah. Yeah, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There is one no. Thank you. Item 59, please.
Item 59 is ordinance O-24-5-102. It's amending the Knox County Code Appendix A zoning, Article 5, zone regulations, sections 5.31 and 5.32, CA general business and CB business and manufacturing zones respectively, adding clinics, medical offices, dental offices, and other medical uses of a similar nature and size in multi-dwelling developments and structures with a density of up to 12 dwelling units per acre as a permitted use, and multi-dwelling developments and structures with a density above 12 dwelling units per acre as use is permitted on review, and amendments to Article 2 definitions, Section 2.20 specific terms, to add a definition for upper-level dwellings. This amends ordinance O-90-9-130, adopted September 10th, 1990, as amended on first reading.
Motion to move forward with no recommendation?
Second.
Motion by Frazier, second by Oster to move forward without recommendation. Commissioner Brooks, would you care to address this? I mean, Director Brooks.
Would you all like to give me to give you a background?
If you, just quickly, if you
Just
wouldn't
quickly,
mind.
sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of this is included in your packet, but it's been a while since this has been before you. But as you all probably recall, these amendments were before you as part of a larger package back in February and March of last year. And they also included standards for drive-through facilities, which those are not moving forward at this time. But the group that worked on this included stakeholders from our office, Knox County Codes, the planning advocates, as well as members of this commission and members of the development community. So there was a group that met several times to work through these proposed amendments. And we feel like there's a really great proposal in front of you that's been well vetted. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner Frazier.
Just a comment, Madam Chair, and we looked at this because there were several commercial developers who wanted additional uses in some of our CA and CB, and as you might recall, we had these little pockets of CA and CB that were kind of all over the county, and so it really was a collaborative effort, and we got a lot of great input, and I think it's been, as Director Brooks said, very well vetted, and I think it's a good step forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Brooks, you know, the public seems to think that Commission and Knox Planning at times through their ordinances has some ordinances that are kind of deceptive to the general public. As an example, somebody can post a sign that says rezoning to office, medical, and related services. And the public goes, man, that's great. I'd like to have a medical office on that site or whatever. Not knowing that that's the key word for apartments. So why don't we just simplify things and have an ordinance that just says that location, that's apartments. And so everybody would know what's going on instead of incorporating it in all these other different scenarios. I mean, if you're going to rezone a property from agricultural to apartments, then that's what it is. But don't put a title of CB or whatever, CA or office, medical, and related services when that's not really what's going on. Because we don't, while apartments may be a commercial enterprise, we don't view that as a commercial enterprise. But your thoughts?
So my thoughts on that is that we are working with a zoning code that's several decades old. I think that the comments that you made are great input for our upcoming, the update to our current zoning ordinance and things that we need to be thinking about to be more transparent. But again, I think that what we're working with now is just, it's a very, very old code. So it's what we have.
Commissioner Ward, no?
I was going to say the same thing. That's what we're redoing everything for. And you have to say that you're rezoning it to a certain zone, and that's what the zones are currently, and they're going to be changed. So you can name it the Schoonmaker apartment zone if you wanted to. Just name whatever you want.
And I agree.
Thank you. Any Commissioner Frazier?
I would just, to add to Commissioner Ward and Commissioner Schoonmaker, I really do believe that once we kind of dive into this UDO, that we will simplify and really be a little bit clearer on the allowed uses in our zoning. Because like you all, I hear that quite a bit, especially when we talk about OB, that we feel like sometimes we're using OB to do something that maybe is not what the public is anticipating. And so I appreciate both of your comments on really wanting to be clear with the public with the intentionality of the use that's being considered for a parcel. So I think we will do that in the UDO.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor to move forward with no recommendation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 60.
Item number 60 is ordinance O-24-4-101. It's amending the Knox County Code, Chapter 2, Article 10, Division 3, General Provisions by adding a new Section 2-839 regarding the Knox County Fleet Safety Program. This amends the Knox County Code, Chapter 2, Article 10, Division 3, establishing Section 2-839 previously reserved on second reading.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Motion by Daly, second by Frazier, to move forward with no recommendation. Any discussion? Commissioner Daly.
Randy, you got anything to say? We're good.
All right. Seeing no other lights, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 61, ordinance O-24-4-102 is amending the Knox County Code, Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-2, Privilege and Expense Reimbursements for certain officials and employees in subsection 2-2A to reference the Knox County Fleet Safety Program and to clarify that the elected official to whom a county vehicle is assigned shall designate who may drive a county vehicle. This amends ordinance O-90-9-123, adopted September 10th, 1990. Ordinance O-02-8-104, adopted September 23rd, 2002. And ordinance O-07-6-103, adopted September 23rd, 2007 on second reading.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Motion by Beeler, second by Frazier, to move forward with no recommendation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have no one signed up for public forum. Under other business, discussion of May zoning. I'm looking at item 63. Commissioner Oster, any comments?
No, everything's fine. Do you want me to just take mine all at once?
If you like.
Okay. So 63, 65, and 66, I met with the applicants and Mr. Mullins. 71, this one, I'm not sure if he's going to ask for a postponement so we can have a neighborhood meeting. He's supposed to let me know tomorrow. And 77, this one should be removed. This is the one that we saw last month. He was asking for 12 and we gave him 9. In between all of this, he had originally got 9 from planning, and then they came back and gave him 12. And so this one was part of that should have been taken off and removed. So I've emailed him, and he's supposed to get in touch with Drew. So that's kind of where we are on that situation. And then 78, she's the one that we suspended the rules, so she'll be here Monday.
Thank you. I might not do it that way again. All right, 64 is me. I don't anticipate any comments on this, but that's all I'll say for now. I'm looking at 67. I will hold that until next week unless Commissioner Frazier has any comments on it. Thank you. 68 is also a part of 67. 69, just for everyone's information, that actually involves one lot. So you might want to take a look at that. Commission 70 is just a little over an acre. 71's been addressed. 72 Schoonmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, you probably will get some emails from constituents in the area. I'm still working on some questions to get answered before next week, but this property is adjacent to the Chodo Marina.
Thank you. 73 is deferred. 74, Commissioner Beeler. I'm sorry, Commissioner Daly, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. even though this one is deferred, this is, Mr. Roten had called me and asked for 7 units an acre, and he was going to ask for RB, and I was hoping it would be turned down by planning. It did not. Even though there's RB across the road, it's single-family homes with an acre plus lots. This will be totally out of character for an RB zoning, and if you're familiar with an RB zone is terrible. It's a terrible zone, so you get a chance, go to Google, look at that area. Out there, if you're out Johnsonville Highway, it's just past Dick Ford Lane underpass there. So, not happy with RB.
All right. To be clear, though, it is deferred till August. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right. Thank you. 74, Commissioner Beeler, any comments?
I haven't spoken with the applicant. Those are small parcels, and I'm going to assume the RA request is just to be able to add another dwelling, but I will research it more.
Thank you. 75, 76, 77, and 78 have all been addressed.
75 is not in 76. 75 is in South Knoxville, and I've been in contact with some homeowners out there, plus the lawyer for Mr. Schuler. And I believe it's a good time to state that Mr. Law Director, I don't think we have to do a sector plan, do we?
No, sector plans, as I understand it, have been done away with by the passage of the new general plan.
That's on. Since May 1st, we don't have to worry. All we'll have to worry about is number 76, which is a rezoning from the land from RB. There's 40 acres of it is RB, and there's 40 acres that it's ag. Again, I don't like RB. The new property owners want to go to PR at 2 per acre, which is not a bad compromise from 12 per acre to 2 per acre. So I've been in contact with both sides, and that's why I asked for the postponement. I think we'll be meeting in the next, probably have to move it up a week, I guess, but we'll be meeting on that one. But don't like RB.
So to be clear, it is deferred till June.
Till June meeting, whichever, either 3rd or 4th, we don't know yet.
All
Whichever.
right. Commissioner Frazier, did you have a comment?
I actually had a question in response to Director Brooks because I had actually reached out to her about the zoning agenda still including sector plan amendments because these cases were heard at Planning Commission prior to executing the comprehensive plan. And the answer was yes, for a couple of months, we will see sector plan amendments.
All right. So
So
75.
she's here that could clarify.
Director Brooks?
I can attempt to clarify. So yes, we didn't remove, so you will see rezonings and sector plans because they went through Planning Commission. I will defer to Law Director Moyers if he wants to weigh in here, but the new plans that went, these were all cases that were considered before the new growth policy plan as well as the comprehensive plan went into effect. So we did not pull those amendments before they were sent to you all. They probably were advertised and sent to you in advance of that deadline. Does that make sense? I know
Amy,
it's confusing.
I want to make sure I'm absolutely clear on this. The passage of the new general plan did away with all the sector plans. Is that correct?
That is correct. Now, under the new plan, there's no sector plans.
Right.
It's just it's just the comprehensive land use transportation
Right.
plan.
So Director Brooks and I have had a couple of conversations about this. It is my opinion, it's our opinion, that given the fact that the general plan went into effect May 1st, the new growth policy plan went into effect, all legislative acts by this commission going forward must be consistent with the general plan and the growth plan. So there may be some that were considered by the Planning Commission under the old rules, but this commission needs to act on them based on the new rules. So that's kind of where we are with that. It's an odd situation, but the state law is clear that after you pass a growth plan, all of your planning decisions must be consistent with that. And so regardless of what rules were in effect before the Planning Commission, when it comes to you now, post May 1st, you have to comply with the new growth plan and the new comprehensive plan.
So is that a yes for sector plan?
It is a no. We are not
Okay.
required to amend the sector plan because there isn't a sector plan to amend any longer. There may have been one when it went before Planning Commission, but it no longer exists now.
So can I ask?
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you. So can those just be eliminated from the agenda for next week? Anything that says sector plan?
As far as I'm concerned, yes, but again, it has to comport with the new general plan. So, I haven't gotten down to the granular details of how the new general plan affects each area of the county, but you may have a situation arise where the Planning Commission had looked at something that would be permissible under the old growth plan or the old general plan that no longer would be permissible. So we have to know now, for each zoning, and it's a very short period. It's the things that were in the pipeline when they went before Planning Commission, because decisions from the Planning Commission going forward, I'm sure, are going to be consistent with the new growth plan and the new general plan. But for this month and maybe the next month or two, we need to make sure that every zoning that is presented to the body comports with the new growth plan and the new general plan.
Oh, my.
All right?
I'm going back and looking at these, and there are several. So to be clear, these sector ordinances do not need to be on
No.
this agenda at all.
No. And so what I would suggest is that you either remove them from the agenda when you're setting your agenda on Monday, or you can take them up individually as the item comes up before the body.
All right. Director Brooks, did you have a comment on that?
I guess I would ask the body if, I need to go back and look at each individual case. I know we did it for this last month, like, 'cause we were in this, we knew that the plan was going into effect, where we, in our staff reports, would make a comment about whether or not this particular request complied with the comprehensive plan. So I guess I would encourage you all, you might need that information to help inform your discussion. And I'd be happy to take a look at all the cases that you will see on Monday and make sure that that information is called out if you all think it's helpful.
Very.
I think it'd be very helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Beeler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would assume that every zoning we consider would have to comply with the place type that it is in under the comprehensive plan, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That is a yes?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. Commissioner Ward?
Do we need to refund anybody that applied for stuff that is no longer being heard for or by?
Good question.
Just saying. They went through the process that they don't have to go through. They paid good money for a process they're not getting. What they want was to be heard by the board, and we're not giving them that. Don't you think they should get their money back if we're not honoring what we told them they're going to do? I mean, we're talking about a couple $100 here, guys. We're not talking about thousands and millions of dollars. We're talking about a
Director
month.
Brooks, is there a fee for sector plan, then a separate fee for zoning?
Yes, there are fees for all of our applications.
No,
And
they- They should get their money back because we're not hearing it.
Director
I'll fire somebody. I don't
Moyers,
care.
is this an issue that we
You think I have a problem
need
firing
to take
people?
up? Is this an issue that we need to take up?
What, refunding money? Well, I mean, you're talking about ordering the Planning Commission to refund the fees that they charged.
That's why I'm asking you.
I don't know. I don't know whether that's within our purview or not.
Can I suggest it? Can I suggest it? I'm suggesting it. I'm on record. I suggest you refund those poor people their money.
So I have, what about the ones that?
Well, it sounds like this is a decision that needs to be left with Planning Commission. But you both bring up very good points. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. All right. Is there,
On the zoning appeals, Madam Chair, does the director of planning want to create this? We didn't get that very often.
I'm getting there. We do have one zoning appeal. Commissioner Lee, that is yours. Do you have any questions do you have any comments about it?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't imagine anything that would make this compatible to a residential area. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you, Commissioner Schoonmaker, did you want more information than that?
Restate that again. You're saying that, say that again, exactly what you just said?
I said, I can't imagine anything that would reverse this decision. Planning Commission denied this?
Right.
Okay. I can't imagine anything that's going to make this compatible with this residential area. So,
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
The way you said it, it just.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. With the existing residential area?
Correct. I don't think that this would be compatible with the residential area.
Right. No, and you are aware of the current residential area?
Yes. Yes.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Ward?
Was this denied before or after we passed everything? And then does the new one apply differently than the old one?
Oh, goodness. That's a very good question.
The existing land use is rural residential. The future land use is suburban mixed residential.
Well, yeah, so does that change anything? Okay. Amy, do you have a?
I still agree with Commissioner Lee that it would be out of.
I don't disagree either. I'm just asking, is it changed? Do we have to take into any considerations? I agree with you. I don't think it, but
Commissioner Ward, I'll have to take a look at this more closely
thank
and
you,
get
ma'am.
back to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do think that's a valid point that you bring up. So if perhaps you, Director Brooks and Director Moyers could both look and advise us before next week, that would be helpful. All right. We have no amendments. Is there any other business? Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. is Farm Day. Bring your raincoat just in case, or umbrella. It's at Chehaui Park. And I think there's 5,000 kids going to be there, seeing all that. So probably the first time they've really seen a cow up close, as far as that goes. And we got two visitors back there in the back. I don't know. Does anybody know who they are? You want to wave? What are you doing here? Are you sleepless or? Well, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Oh. Just to clarify, you do know that zonings will be heard next week? Okay. Just wanted to be sure. Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Encourage all of the commissioners as well as the constituents across Knox County to join us on Saturday. This Saturday morning will be the 7th annual Beaver Creek Flotilla. And if you do not have a boat, we can find one for you with one of our partners from River Sports. And we encourage you to come out Saturday morning and join us. We expect over 600 boats in the water to enjoy the lovely Beaver Creek. And if you need more information, anyone can go to www.floatthebeaver.com. Thank you.
It's really a lot of fun. All right. Does that cover all other business? Seeing no lights, we are adjourned.